Hi everyone, welcome to UPSC Tree. So this is the discussion on the UPSC essay topic. This year's essay paper was on the relatively easier side, but sometimes the topics might appear easy, but when we sit down and try to write content, we face difficulty. Content that we have becomes repetitive in nature. So that's a trap as well. So anyway, let's pick out the topics and let's see how we can approach these particular questions. Let's look at topic number 1. Now UPSC is known to ask questions around happiness. They have been asking questions in happiness either in ethics paper or in essay paper or in different formats. Nonetheless, the topic for this year was there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. That means, see, if you look at, let me give an example. If you look at American Constitution, okay, in American Constitution, they have mentioned the pursuit of happiness. So, pursuit of happiness. Now, this essentially means happiness is a destination. The focus is on destination. But if you look at the topic that there is no path to happiness, happiness is the path. That means happiness is the journey itself, not a destination to be arrived at. That is what is interesting about it. And American Constitution you can quote over here also. Now, how to go about writing interesting aspect to this this particular topic. Let me give you a very good story. This story is from a particular Upanishad, that is Yajnavalkya Upanishad, and this is a debate between Yajnavalkya and his wife Maitreyi. Okay. The story is that we know that in Hindu philosophy there are 4 stages of life: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Banaprastha and Sannyasa. Now Yajnavalkya is quite old and he wants to get into the 4th order of life, that is Sannyasa. And when he goes or when he renounces, when he wants to renounce the world, he has to go out, leave his home. So that is the reason why what he does is he asks his he thinks of it and he decides that he will divide his property among his 2 wives. Okay. He had 2 wives. Yajnavalkya calls upon his 2 wives, Maitreyi and Katyayani, and tells them that I want to divide the property between you 2 so that you can have a very comfortable and happy life. But this point of time, the wise Maitreyi will ask the question to Yajnavalkya that if we have the wealth but you are not with us, will we be happy, and will we be happy perpetually? So Yajnavalkya then tells that no, you won't be happy perpetually. Then Maitreyi again asks, if I have all the wealth of Earth or of the planet, will I be happy eternally? Then also Yajnavalkya tells her that no, you won't be happy eternally. So ये जो interesting debate है इन दोनों में, ठीक है? What is exactly happiness? So this debate is all about, if you have a comfortable life, does it mean you have a happy life? The whole debate comes around to that. Does comfort comfort equals happiness? Or when we say comfort, we can also tag it as say materialistic happiness. Okay? So does it translate to happiness? Not necessarily. That's what the answer is given by Yajnavalkya. And then their debate goes on. And यहाँ पे क्या होगा? Very interesting. Out of this debate, Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi debate, eventually they debate upon the Atman and Brahman. What is Atman? Atman is the individual, like us, human beings. Brahman is the superior soul. The objective of Atman is to merge with the superior entity, that is Brahman. So this is Atman and this is, let's say, imagine, the superior soul, that is Brahman. And then ये जो पूरा debate है, then it goes on. And that gives rise to the Advaita philosophy, okay, which Vivekananda was known for. Okay. Now, here Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi that comfort is not happiness. ये एक establish हो गया, ये एक interesting philosophical aspect establish हो गया. Then you can go on about discussing if you are hungry, can you be happy? There is a very interesting saying that don't teach philosophy to a hungry man. Okay? So, if a person is hungry or has not eaten for say 2 days or 3 days, can he be happy? Definitely not. So, we often hear that happiness is a state of mind. Not necessarily. If the basic needs are not met, then you can't be happy. That is a fact. So here what you can do, that what we call comfort, we can also call it as the materialistic aspect. Materialistic aspects are required. People need to have a good home, good life and other things, right? Otherwise, and have access to food, shelter, medical facilities and all the other things that we call the part of civilization. They need to have that. So materialistic aspect or pursuit is not bad, and materialistic aspect, at least the minimum is required to be happy. Without the materialistic aspect, happiness cannot be achieved. This can be proved. If you are hungry, you can't be happy. That is true. Okay. Now, this is again, comfort may lead to happiness. This is another dimension you can prove over here, right? Now, but if the comfort is too much, it may turn into greed. Now, in here you can bring in Buddha's dimension, right? Buddha's dimension, and you can talk about Buddha, and he said that suffering is part and parcel of life, and he talks about Trishna. You introduce this concept, you might have read in your in your preparation while preparing for history and all that. So Buddha's concept of Trishna means nothing but excessive desire. And that is the root cause of all suffering. Now, if the comfort, if there is the materialistic aspiration is too much or overwhelming, then it turns into Trishna or desire, and then that will be root cause of suffering. So you will not be happy. That means only materialistic pursuits or only materialistic comforts won't give you proper happiness. Now, after introducing Buddha and his life story, you can also show that how, if you look at Buddha's life altogether, he wanted to find solution to life's misery, right? In the process, what he did, he traveled across India, tried to attach himself with multiple gurus and all. He tried to punish his body physically as well. Almost because of hunger, he was about to be decimated completely. Okay. He induced physical pain on himself, right? Still he didn't get the answer. And then when he was too weak, a lady named Sujata offered her milk rice, and then Buddha will drink that and will sit in meditation and eventually attains nirvana. What is the outcome of this? That you have to follow a middle path. That is the story, right? Middle path. Now, if we consider materialistic aspirations and if you consider the spiritualistic aspirations as two extremes, Buddha at one point of time he wanted to spiritually achieve things, but he could not. Okay, could not, and in the process he only destroyed his body to some degree. When he left, he thought that materialistic world is completely unuseful to solve the miseries of life. He found out that that is also not true. So eventually he advocated a middle path. That means we should have a materialistic pursuit. Similarly, we should have a spiritualistic aspiration. Then and only then one can achieve true happiness. That is the aspect of it. And if you look at Indic philosophy also, we have Purusartha, right? Dharma, that the four goals of life: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So these are part and parcel of life which can bring true happiness. if you don't do or miss out on certain things, then you are not going to be truly happy. That's what the Indic philosophy tells us. Now, once after discussing all these things, you can bring in the economic dimension. You can bring in gross happiness index and happiness index, and you can over here you can show that people with or countries with high per capita income, okay, are not the happiest countries. But a country like Bhutan, a simple Himalayan country with very low per capita income, still the people living in Bhutan are very happy. So you can bring in the gross happiness index and the dimensions attached to it, and the different dimensions attached to it. Okay, you can discuss about developed. What we call a developed country is essentially an economic term, and we look at per capita income. Does the people of that country have good income, have good access to good education, good healthcare, and all other materialistic aspects of civilization. Okay, but if they are lacking in the spiritualistic aspect, then the happiness, true happiness, is far from their reach. That is the reason why many of the developed world are not actually happy. ये आप दिखा सकते हो यहाँ पे. You can quote the gross happiness index, you can quote India's rank and other countries' rank, European countries' rank, and then compare it with Bhutan and other countries, and have a discussion debate around it, and this will establish that. Then what we can do towards the conclusion, we have to bring in another interesting dimension where we can use the Jain philosophy. In Jainism, there is a very interesting concept. Even if you look at Buddha's philosophy also, he talks about what? That life is full of suffering. So can we experience happiness if there is no suffering? So similarly, you have to, in your essay, you have to establish that suffering and happiness are part and parcel of life. They are two sides of the same coin. And to give it a philosophical tinge, you can discuss the Jain conception of time. That is, in the beginning, there is Dukkham Dukkham, then Dukkham Sukham, then there is Sukham Sukham, then Sukham Dukkham, and then Dukkham Dukkham. Okay? From your birth till you die, this is how the life goes. This is what is the Jain conception of time. You will, at some point of time, you will experience, true happiness, true bliss, and then you have sunrise years and sunset years. That is what is the human life is all about. So we cannot get rid of suffering. We can minimize it. That's what I want you to bring in your essay. And at the same time, happiness is not about only a state of mind or only a philosophical aspect. We can also get happiness from doing small things. So for example, when whatever your hobby is, when you pursue certain things, or when you have small achievements in a day, or when you eat some good food, or when you do bicycling, or whatever you like to do, or when you watch a good movie, that also makes us happy, right? So happiness is a greater concept. Also, we get happiness from the small things as well. Menial things from life, right? Every day also we feel happy from small things. So happiness can be achieved from the smaller things as well. So that from a day-to-day life, how a individual living in this society can find happiness in his day-to-day mundane life. That is what is also you can bring and discuss in your essay, so that your essay becomes enriching, fulfilling, and philosophically and intellectually stimulating.